tonight, and so for many churches around the world, they will be celebrating and honouring the day that Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. It was the start of a week for him that would culminate in him achieving the dream of his life. The very purpose of his life, the very reason that he came to earth, the very reason that he was born, the very reason for the whole of God's work in history was culminated and, well, say it was started in this day we celebrate Palm Sunday, when he rode in on a donkey as a king. Not many kings ride on a little donkey, do they? But he was knowing that he was coming to that appointed time when everything that he had dreamt of, everything that his life's purpose had been about, came to pass. All because of Easter. There is in some ways no greater event in our calendar, in the calendar of the church, than Easter. Because Easter is a celebration of the greatest event in the history of the world. There is nothing greater for any of us than to know that because of what happened in this week that we're coming into, that our destinies was changed, the destiny of the whole world, that people, when they accept Jesus into their life, to be a part of their life, to live for him, to be devoted to him, to serve him, he is going to change every life. And he can change you, he can change your marriage, he can change your workplace, he can change your business, he can change your destiny, he can change your health. There is nothing that cannot be because of Calvary. All because of a dream. God has a dream for you. And your dream is to play a part in the dream that Jesus died for. We are part of the big dream, the big vision, the big goal, the big purpose for which God has for mankind. He has a desire for you and I to play a part in that dream. And my question to you today, and my hope today, is that I will light a passion within you, maybe light a spark within you, or relight a spark in you, that you would pursue the dream that God has for your life. Yeah. That just as Jesus pursued the dream that the Father had for him, so you and I are also called by God to fulfill an assignment. For our life is an assignment. Our life has got a goal. It has got a vision. We are not meant to be aimlessly going through life. And so often when we lose the dream that God has for our life, we so often pursue all sorts of other things. And we get distracted. And we end up pursuing lesser goals. But there is no greater goal in life than to pursue the thing that God has assigned to you. The dream that God has for your life in it. Jeremiah 29:11, a very famous verse, says, "For I know the plans that I have for you." Sorry, I'm spitting up. "For I know the plans I have for you. There are plans to make you miserable." No. What kind of plans are they? You don't sound too kind of. They're plans to prosper, to make us a success, for us to be blessed, because God wants to input into us. Now that does not mean that life is going to be roses. But it does mean that God is going to enable us to prosper in the dream that he has for us. But he's not there to make us prosper in things that are not part of his dream. And so often we want to prosper in the things that are actually not what God wants us to prosper in. But God wants us to prosper. He wants us to be a success. But Jesus was a success. He prospered in all that he did. And yet financially he was broke. And yet in terms of his health and his death, it was horrible death. He was broke in his health. He was broke in every way. And yet he succeeded in the dream that the Father had for him. So we've got to understand that God's dream for us will include a little tiddly bit of pain. Well, maybe. You never know. But you know what? God's dream, once you come to know, you see, God's dream for our life is, first of all, that we would know Jesus Christ as Lord and Saviour. That's God's dream for us. He wants us to be part of the church family. He wants us to know Him and to live for Him. That's his dream. But His dream is that we would do what He's called us to do. In other words, the two things that go all the way through Scripture are the two themes of salvation and stewardship. In other words, what God has given us in our time, our talents, our treasure, our things, also and our thoughts, all these things are for His glory, to pursue the dream that He has for us. But what that dream does, once you have the dream of God in your life, it draws you like a magnet. It draws you. In other words, you can't do anything else. You're aware of it. It's always there in your life. So even if you go off track, even if there's something else kind of takes you, your eyes for a while or whatever, in your heart you understand the dream that God has for you. And if you don't know the dream that God has for you, then I hope that you will pursue trying to find it out. Because God doesn't want it to be a secret, but He wants you to pursue Him. Because I believe this, that anybody who loves Jesus with all their heart will know the dream. God doesn't hide it from those who love Him. But for those who have got other things on and they're more concerned with whatever it might be, pursue of career, or maybe pursue of cash, or of relationships, or whatever it might be, of sport, or whatever it might be, if that pursues, then God's not going to show you the dream. Because His dream always includes Him. His dream is about Him. In other words, your dream is always about a part of the dream that He gave to Christ. It's going to be an eternal dream. It's going to be a dream that actually, when it lasts for eternity, the results. And you say, well, how can it last for eternity? Because people will last forever. Whenever we influence people and we minister to people's lives and we touch hearts, we are touching the very essence of people that will live forever. And that makes our work eternal. Because we can be part of that. Our dreams, when God gives you a dream, it draws you, but it also shapes you. Because when you have the dream of God, it shapes the things that you are interested in, it shapes the things that you pursue, it shapes your goals in life, it shapes the thinking about what you think about, it changes who you associate with, who you want to run with. Because if you've got the dream of God, you want to run with God dreamers. You don't want to, as they say, go running with turkeys. Yes? If you want to soar with eagles, you don't run with chickens. I have turkeys, anyway. Turkeys are a little bit bigger than chickens. Okay? But the key is that you associate with. And for some of you today, you might need to change your associations, your friendships, or people who you hang around with, because you want to be with those who are going to be pursuing the dream of God in their life. Because it's contagious. It is contagious. Well, when you are with someone who has a dream, a God dream on their life, it is contagious. You want to be with them. That's why many people move all over the world in order to be with certain people or certain ministries, because they catch what they're doing, they catch the dream, they catch what they're trying to do. They've got the vision and they're saying, I want to pursue the same. And that's what God is wanting to do with us today, is saying, will you pursue the dream that God... He has a dream. Your dream will be included as part of where you're based, where you are. You're with us. Your dream will be part of us. It will be part of helping the work of God. But that dream, so whatever that dream is, the dream could be in so many different ways that God can use. You would be blown away by the way God can use things. Things that you and I rationally would think, how could God use that? But I remember reading about a guy that did a PhD studies, and he did his PhD studies in the movement of cows. Now I want to tell you that is a real evangelistic message to go with, yes? But he understood the movement of cows and the implications of it and how to do it. And what happened is that they came to this country in the Middle East that needed to move thousands and thousands of cows. And guess what? He was the specialist in the world. He was the only guy in the world who was able to understand that. And he ended up getting into Muslim countries, being with the top in the country, and being able to mix with all the best. And he was able to share the gospel in a context that no one else would have been able to get, all because he followed the dream that God had put in his heart. He didn't want to talk and to research moving cows, but he followed it. And sometimes, we pursue things in God that to other people around us, they look at them, they say to themselves, oh, that can't be right, or this is, and we come around people that discourage us and try to put us off what God's dream is. But we need to be around people who will light the dream in your life. People who will spur that on in your life, who will encourage you and say, go for God. Go for the dream that God has for you. But in order to go for the dream that God has for you, you have to dedicate all of your life to Him. You can't pursue it half-heartedly. If you try to pursue something half-heartedly, you're neither in or either out. Yeah? You're neither up the hill and down the hill. You're halfway up and you're halfway up. You're either up and neither down, are you? And it's like that. Yeah? Anyway, some of you might know the old grand Duke of York. Well done. Romans 12 verses 1 and 2 says this: offer yourselves as a living sacrifice to God, dedicated to His service. Do not conform to the standards of this world, but let God transform you. Then you will be able to know the will or the dream of God, what is good, pleasing and perfect. You can't make the dream of God your dream unless you're going to be committed to it and devoted to what He has. We have to dedicate everything, commit everything to Him, offer ourselves to Him in every part. That means we have to offer to God our time, our schedule, our calendar, our diary. We need to offer to God our treasures. We need to offer to God the things that we have, the things that we own, whether things are skills and abilities and or maybe things that you've got whatever in the house or a car or whatever. Everything needs to be offered up to Him. You see, because God's dream on your life is all about you being what you ought to be, what you should be, what you can be, what God has designed you to be. But so often we settle for second best. We settle for other things. And the good is the enemy of the best. The good things in life, so often, there may be nothing wrong with them. They can be good things to do, but they're not the right thing, not the best thing that God has for you to do. So you might say, well, yeah, but I'm not sinning by doing what I know. You might not be sinning, but it's not God's plan. It's not the best use of your time. It's not maybe the best use of your finances. It's maybe not the best, way to focus your energy, or the best relationships to be involved in, or the best career. It has its outworkings. So when you commit your life, when you devote your life to Him, it is going to change the things that you do and the things that you think about. He says, verse 2, it says, let us strip off anything that slows us down or holds us back, and run with patience the particular race that God has set before us. It's clear here that Paul understands that there is for every one of us, not just for him. We might say, oh, we can understand you, Paul, that you had the call of God on your life. You knew what the race of life was for you. You were focused. We understand that. You were dedicated, and we can understand that. But actually, the writer to the Hebrews is saying here, it's for all of us. Yeah. We've all got a God-given race. We've all got a God-given dream and a destiny that we should be pursuing. In other words, it's been specially marked out for us. It's designed particularly for you. That word there, which it talks about his will, that his will is good, pleasing and perfect. The word perfect means it's a perfect fit for you.
Yeah.
It fits your shape, it fits the way God's made you, and God has designed a dream for your life that it would fit.
Yeah.
That it would be the best thing for you, but you can't pursue materialism and ministry. We have to understand that. We can either be in the rat race or God's race. We must make that decision. The second thing, in order to understand the dream of God upon our life, is we have got to spend time with him. You don't get the dream of God on your life by or any other pursuit except time with God. Daily time with God, making it a habit of time with God. It is so important. Psalm 46 verse 10 says this, "Be still and know that I am God." How many of us spend time being still and knowing that he is God? I know that we all struggle with it. Just try being still and quiet for 5 minutes. It's amazing how difficult it is to just sit there and be quiet for 5 minutes. It's it, because all the time you're there and you're going, "Oh, I need to do this." Oh no. And you're off your mind, you're not just thinking there. And so we have to understand it's something we have to work at and listen at. Job 37:14 says this, "Pause a moment and listen. Consider the wonderful things God does." Get your eyes fixed on God, fixed on who he is. Because when we get our eyes fixed on God, our perspective changes. And where our dream for our life can be small, when we get an understanding of how big and great God is, our dream expands exponentially because of who he is. I believe it's important to do that, and one of the things that I do is when sitting down to pray, I spend time listening to the Holy Spirit, and I found that over the time that one of the difficulties is because of all sorts of other things coming to your mind once you start being quiet. So I have a plain piece of paper, I just have a pad with an A4 piece of paper, and I've got a pen here. And what I do is I write a big L in the middle. Now I want you to know this is really theologically profound. But what I found that just practically by doing that, then what happens is I'm still and I'm waiting on God, and all the thoughts that I have are coming to my head, like, "Oh, I need to get some bread and milk," whatever it is. I write it down. Because what I find is, if I don't write it down, my mind's are thinking about that because I don't want to forget about it. So I write it down, I know I can come back to it, and the mind clears, and what happens is, you start to tune in to God. You start to tune into things, and you write things down, and you're aware of God speaking to you. And what happens is over time, because you've written it down, you're able to see a consistent pattern. You're able to see what God is saying on a consistent basis. Yeah. And you're able to understand that this isn't just a one-off, but God is saying to me, and ask some nice, simple questions like, "God, what would you like me to do today?" "Lord," this one he always answers for me, "what would you like to change about me?" That's always a long list. But what I'm saying is, you ask some questions and just wait and get in tune with him, because it's so important. Habakkuk is a fantastic way to the method that Habakkuk uses, I think, is a great kind of pattern for waiting on God, for waiting for the dream, and he talks about that in Habakkuk, and it is important for us. So, for example, it says the first thing in Habakkuk chapter 2, it talks about withdrawing. You might want to write this down. In other words, getting alone to a quiet place. That's the first thing he says, because he says, "I will climb up to my watchtower." What does that signify? Climbing up to your watchtower, I'm going somewhere where it's isolated, somewhere that I'm on my own, somewhere where I can think, somewhere where I can watch and look and listen to the things of God. That was what it was talking about. It's an Hebrew expression that means I'm going to get alone, to get off by myself. Find a quiet place. And that's what Jesus did. Jesus did this often. He said Jesus often withdrew to a lonely place. Jesus is an example to us. And if he did it, so we need to do it. We need to make it a habit. The second thing, we're not only just going to a quiet place, he waited. Yes, he says there in verse 1, he says, and wait and to see what the Lord will say, or what the Lord will tell me. So in other words, Habakkuk goes to a place where he can be quiet, and then he spends time waiting. So he's withdrawn, and he's waiting on God for God to speak. In other words, you don't get God's vision running here, there, and everywhere. Yeah. You get it by being with him in the quietness. And God will give you an image. He'll give you a picture of whatever he wants you to do. And this is the language of the Holy Spirit. The language of the Holy Spirit. He speaks in dreams and visions. And so when you are praying, you can close your eyes and you'll get images of things. Now, for some of you, you are very image aware anyway. You think in images. For some of us, we are more digital. Everything's a little bit more, we tend to be a bit more, we struggle with the image side of things. Yes, we don't kind of think in pictures. We think more in kind of concepts and principles or whatever. We kind of think it and we boil it down to a one-liner or whatever. And so so people think differently, yes? But I believe that for all of us, we can all see the vision of God. Yeah. We can all watch, we can all wait and see. And that's what Habakkuk does. He says, I went up there to wait, to withdraw, to spend time with God, but it says, I waited to see what God would say. I waited to see, not hear, see. See what God would say, because God sees, and he wants us to see. Isaiah saw what the Lord was doing. Jeremiah saw what the Lord... So what I'm saying to you is, God is looking for you to have a picture in your mind. And he can do that. That's why the dream of your life, it's worth searching for. It's worth spending a day of your life sitting down and spending some time with God so that you can know the dream of your life. You're not pursuing somebody else's dream. You're not pursuing what somebody else is saying, but you're pursuing what God has given to you. Amen. I believe it's worth it. Your whole life can live a dream. Like the Apostle Paul, he says, I count my life worthless unless I spend it doing the work of God assigned by me by the Lord Jesus Christ. The work of telling people of the goodness of God, the wonderfulness of God, the love of God. Amen. Paul knew the dream of his life. He knew this is the one thing I need to do, is to pursue what God has put in my life. And so it's important that we would do that. Ephesians 1 and verse 18, Paul says this. He says, I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened so that you may know the hope to which he has called you. May the eyes of your understanding, that visual image within you, might understand that spiritual sensing. Yeah, it's a spiritual sense. It's the inner, not just the external. And so I believe that this is important for us. Fourth thing to do. So we withdraw. We wait, we watch, and then we write. Now I know write still starts with a W, okay? We write it down. What God shows you, write it down. Because as he shows you it, he keeps repeating it to you. And sometimes, we lose our way, and for all of us at times we can lose our way, we kind of get off track, things distract us. And different kind of things, and then God draws us back, and he draws us back, and again back to the image, to the things that he first gave us. Because God's dream for your life doesn't change here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, it's not 1 minute this and the next minute that. God's dream for your life, and so you need to write it down, record it. I believe it's so important. Yes, and so in chapter 1, for example, Habakkuk asks God 6 questions. And then in chapter 2, he waits, quiets himself, watches and waits, and then writes it down what he's revealed to him. In other words, journaling. Journaling is good. You've all gone quiet. So I realise you're all thinking, oh no. But it's never too late to start. Yes? But when you journal, and we all kind of have time, some people are better than others, but one of the things I'll say to this, that all the greatest men and women that are in history that God has used mightily, nearly all of them have journaled. There's a journal to read. There's some writings that they've left. There's something that you're able to read as a result of that. So you're able to see their journey. You see their faults. Yeah. I mean, there's none in my journal faults. You know. When I die, you'll go, no! No! Serious? Because, Gas going, well, did you not know? but journaling, in other words, writing it down, it's part of God's revealing of his dream, of his vision for your life, yes? So you can see the scriptures. You get certain scriptures live to you. When God speaks to me, there are certain scriptures that he uses. So no matter who it is that come from far and wide and come thinking, John Andrews came last week and he can say, and he said, you just go and you go, okay, God, you've got my attention. I know this is for me. Because he's spoken it, and it's like the key that unlocks. Nobody else knows it, but you know that's the key that unlocks to you. It's so important to catch that in God's dream. God's dream for your life is, I believe, so important. So write it down. And then the last thing you need to do is this. So we've got withdraw, wait, watch, write, and worship. Well done. In other words, he praised God. He was just spending time worshipping God and thanking God because God has given him the answer. God has revealed himself to them. It's worth worshipping about, is it not? It is. That's what Habakkuk is. Just a thought, a little plan there, if you want to say, and if you're sitting there and thinking, I really don't know the dream of God in my life. And as I hear you talking today, I just think, I want to pursue that dream. Amen. I want my life to have purpose and meaning and destiny. I want my life to be shaped by God. I don't want to just be doing the same things. I want to know, Lord. I want to know. Well, there you are. You've got some keys to help you in that process that God has for you. It is, you are made by God as his handicraft. Yeah. You are his, the word, we get the word poem from. In other words, you are God's poem. You are God's work of art. You are God's treasure. You are what God has formed for his delight and for his service, for his works of service, for good deeds, is what Ephesians 2:10 says. Yes? So my question to you is, what are you doing with what God has given you? What are you doing with what God has given you? That is the key. How is it being used? Is it just used for the things that are for your journey, for where you're at, or is it about pursuing God's dream for your life? We are saved to serve. Our talents and our treasures and our things and our thoughts are there for God's purpose and for his use. Be faithful in the small things. Yes? And like I said, associate with godly dreamers. I think that's important. But one of the things I think is key when you've got a dream is to make it public. To talk about your dream. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself in the back of your mind, you theologians, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but what about Joseph? Because Joseph shared his dream, didn't he? Pain, problems, difficulties, sold into slavery. He was, ended up on the run and ended up in prison and all sorts of things. But you see, when you declare the dream of God on your life, it's a statement of faith. any goal that you make for God, it's a statement of what you're believing God for. And I believe that's important. You see, if Joseph hadn't have declared his dream, he wouldn't have upset his brothers, and then his brothers wouldn't have put him in the pit and sold him. So you see, declaring it is part of God's... Unless God tells you not to say anything, and God could do that. You know, God tells you to be a secret agent. But if you know me, I couldn't be a secret agent. You know. In other words, what you visualize, God wants you to verbalize. He wants you to see it with your eye, and he wants you to speak it out in faith. It's a step of faith, speaking out what God's plan and dream is for your life. What is it that God's put on your heart? Anytime you have a goal in life, that is a dream. Anytime you have something that you're pursuing, that becomes part of your dream. What is it that you are pursuing in life? Hebrews 11 verse 1 says this. What is faith? It is the confident assurance that something we want is going to happen. It is the certainty that what we hope for is waiting for us, even though we cannot see it up ahead. I believe that this is so important for us. I believe that when we speak it out publicly, I think the first thing it does is it means that you are going to do something about it. Yeah? That you're going to pursue it. You've declared to your friends and your family, and you've declared, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I believe is God's plan for my life. It means that straight away they're all expecting you to do something about it. It brings an accountability, doesn't it? It kind of gets you off the starting block. Just by making that declaration there, it does it. The other thing I think when you declare it is you can't let it go. It's kind of, because you've said it, now you realise you can't just, you know what I mean? I think there's the faith aspect, because God is, everything that is of faith is what God blesses. But if it's not of faith, it is sin. And that's the only way we can please God is to pursue it in faith. So it's a declaration there, I believe. And I believe that when we declare it, we're putting our marker on it. We're saying to people, this is what I'm going to do. And it helps you to take the image into something that's probably that tangible. Yes? So, for example, often I can get things and I sense things in God, and then even this week I was talking with Kath, and we were talking about some aspects of the vision for the church, and I realised I was struggling to verbalise what God had put in my heart. So the actual act of verbalising it to Kath enabled me to be clarified in me as well.
Right.
And I think that's the important thing about verbalising it, or writing it down as well. Do you know what I mean? And putting it on your fridge and inviting everybody in to see your fridge. If I come, open the fridge, okay, and get cooking. But I think that's so important to us. Yes, it is important. Now I just want to quickly, in the next hour, just to quickly go through. I'm just going to kind of go through it quickly, but there's a lot in it, and I'd love to unpack it. But it's when you have a dream from God, you have got to make that decision to pursue it. It is so important to make that decision to pursue it. Don't have the dream and think that God is just going to make it happen. It's not going to happen without you pursuing God, without you doing your bit. Yes, you know it's going to be of God because it will need God. Yeah. If you can do it without God, it's not God's dream for your life. It has to be bigger than you. It has to include others. And one of the great things about a God dream is it draws people. Not only draws you to it, but it draws other people to you and to help you to succeed in that. And so that is important. But I think the other thing you need to realise, and this is really important, is that with any dream, there is going to be a delay. There's going to be a waiting period. In other words, God doesn't give you the dream on Monday and by Friday it's sorted. Because it's a purpose of your life. It's the pursuit of your life. It's something bigger than just is going to be done in 10 minutes, 24 hours, a week, a month, a year, yeah? Some of the things that God has put on my heart and Kath's heart, for example, we've been here and we're still waiting 18 years later. But we don't stop believing. We don't stop having that dream. We don't stop knowing that this is what God has said to us. Because the Word of God in Chronicles says clearly, believe God and you will prosper. Believe his prophets and you will have success. And God has spoken things over and over and over and over again from different people, different sources, in so many ways. You've got to say to yourself, this is not a coincidence. This isn't me just having cheese the night before, okay, or a bad pizza or whatever. Yes, God is in it, and so you understand that. But there is a delay. Yeah. So in other words, when there's a delay, understand that the delay is not a denial. The delay is not God saying no; He's just saying not yet. Because we think we're ready, but we're not ready. So now I've been ready for 18 years. But God knows better. Do you see what I mean? So this is what you've got to understand is that you still live and breathe for the dream that God has for you. There's a delay, there's a waiting. I don't know about you, but I hate waiting. I don't like waiting in doctors, I don't like waiting in dentists, I don't like waiting in the traffic queue, I don't like waiting for even my microwave meal. Yes, it just takes too long. You know, especially that one in there. That's only one of these, you know, low 750 things. You know, where's the 1,000? Wasted a minute of my life. Anyway, sorry. But there's delays, there's difficulties. God gives you a promise, and then there's problems before there is the. I'm beginning with thinking of a P to end with. Provision, yeah, the girl. Provision. There's difficulties. You're going to have problems. You're going to have difficulties. There's going to be all sorts of things come to that. And it doesn't matter who you look at. There was problems. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you look at Noah and the dream was that, or Nehemiah and the dream of building the wall. It doesn't matter whether it was Abram and his long wait until he was 99 years old before the dream came to pass, and all the difficulties and the problems in the thing. The problem, there was a big problem. They were too old to have children. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it was David and he had to wait and all the problems and on the run from Saul and all the difficulties, but God had given them the dream that one day he would be king. But there's difficulties, there's problems, there's waiting, there's delays. But in it all, David decided that he would pursue the dream God on his life. But he was going to do it in God's time. He was going to do it in God's way. And that is so important. Because David understood that. David had opportunities to take the kingship before it was his time. He had there was opportunities there, and he could have taken the kingship in a way that would not have been right. And yet God had promised him it, and he could have seen it, and all his men around him in the cave when he was hiding from Saul, he was hiding in the cave, and they're in the back of the cave, and they're all whoosh, whoosh. Because the king, Saul, had come into the cave, and they're whispering to him, now is your chance. And the enemy will whisper to you, or other people around you will whisper to you, this is it. This is the way. Do it this way. But if you go with the flow, I need to know something else to rhyme with it. The problem is God didn't give me the intellect for I get the start and then I don't get the end. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. But what happened was David crept up silently while Saul was at the loo. Now it wasn't a posh loo because it's in a cave. Okay? But he goes up to him and it's his chance to kill him. Or he could have got him by the throat or whatever and threatened him. He could have done any number, he didn't. But what he did was he realised that this was not God's plan. Not God's way. Right. And so he just cuts a little bit off his clothes and goes back and then later says to him, yes, I could have done it. And Saul, being who he was, recognised obviously what that David could have done, but he still went on chasing David and not loving David. And so what I'm saying to you is, your dream will go through that period. You've got to make the decision. You've got to understand there'll be delays. You've got to understand that there's going to be difficulties. But you've all got to understand that there will actually come a time when it seems like a dead end. It means no hope. No way, Jose. It just seems it's impossible. There's just no way this can do that. But I'll tell you what, when Jesus died on the cross, it seemed to the disciples a dead end.
Right, yeah.
They were following what they thought to be the Messiah of the world. The King of the Jews. He was going to come and rule and reign. And then he dies on the cross. And you look at all through the Old Testament, it comes to a point of dead end. It seems it's not going to happen, never going to happen, can't happen. But you see, God is in the business of resurrection. After a crucifixion, there's a resurrection. After a dead end, there's a deliverance. And God is in the business of deliverance, of bringing that dream to pass, because it's his dream. And that's what we need to live for. We need to live for that. Live for the dream, get the dream, catch the dream, but understand that that dream will need you to be devoted to it, to be dedicated to following the dream. You will need to understand you're so dedicated, you'll go through the delays, you'll go through the difficulties and the disappointments, and you'll go and you'll face the dead ends, face on, but you'll understand that in the end, God will be the provider and deliver you and bring you into where you should be, into that spacious place, into that place where God has said. So like Joseph, you come into the palace, you come into that position where other people have meant things for harm, where Satan has tried to pull you up, where things have just seemed, well, how can this ever work? It seems a dead end. I'm in prison. Nobody knows me. Even the people that I thought might have helped me, they have not helped me. But God is in this. Will you live for the dream that God has for you? That's my, that's my heart. That's God's heart for you, is live for what God has put in you.